You know what, guys? There are some things in this life that just by virtue of common sense, you never do. Crossing the street without looking both ways, wearing flip-flops and socks, and the third one, and most important, that could save your life, not insulting a Mexican cartel. Now, if you guys are familiar with my content, you'll know that around a month ago, I made a video talking about a kick streamer by the name of Cheezer who decided to insult somebody by the name of El Mencho. He's a cartel boss. And Cheezer apparently was missing. I don't believe that he's missing anymore, but in this video, I talked about another man by the name of the Pirate of Culiacan. And this is exactly who we're talking about in this video because he paid the ultimate price just for making a simple video. Now, in order to understand this story, you guys are first going to have some context as to what a cartel even is. In a traditional sense, it's a group of market leaders that all have the same product, and they decide to collude together to control the distribution as well as the price of that product. When it comes to something like the Mexican cartel, where they're dealing with illicit substances, it's basically the exact same thing, just illegal. And with that being said, in Mexico, there are approximately 150 cartels, and pretty much all of these groups are ones that you don't want to mess with because they are lawless. They don't have to follow any protocol. They will go out and kill you if they so choose. Now, when we look at this territory map here, you guys can see that there are some major players in the cartel business, and you can see all of their territory. And one of the main ones here is the Jalisco New Generation cartel, which is one of the more dangerous ones, and that's the one that the Pirate of Culiacan decided to go after and make fun of. Now, back to our unfortunate main character. His official name is Juan Luis Lagunas Rosales. He was born in the Mexican state of Sinaloa, and from a very young age, he had a tough upbringing. His father, he never knew him. His mother eventually ended up leaving him, and he was left in the care of his grandmother. At the age of 15, he ended up leaving his hometown and school that he didn't finish to go start work as a person who just washed cars. So, not a very bright outlook on life or projection for the future. Now, presumably because of how rough of an upbringing he had, he started getting into illicit substances himself and was even bordering on becoming an alcoholic, all while still being a teenager. Now, with this type of trajectory, it's pretty clear that bad things are going to happen, but first, good things started to happen. Juan had started getting into social media, and in particular, Facebook. This is where he would post videos of himself chugging alcohol, doing crazy challenges, then he would get onto Instagram, and he would cultivate quite a following before eventually moving to YouTube, getting hundreds of thousands of subscribers, and being monetized. He had finally made it, and he was famous. And ultimately, just at the age of 17, only 2 years after he had left school, he had cultivated a very large following of over 1 million people on all platforms. Things could not be looking better, but the worst was still to come. So, because of his immense popularity, he started getting exclusive invites to parties that nobody else was invited to, all because of his shenanigans. He was getting invited by famous musicians to be in their music videos, and he gave himself the nickname, the Pirate of Culiacan. And he really tried to fulfill this name. He would get tattoos on himself, try to make himself look older, and he was living life extremely fast. But fast is dangerous, as all you guys know, and you'll see in a little bit here exactly the mistakes that he made. Eventually, after quite some time of going down this path, people around Juan who actually cared about him told him, hey, you might want to chill out a little bit, because every single time he would drink, he would either say something crazy and get himself in trouble, or do something crazy. But Juan still did not listen, and a short while later he decided to get blackout drunk as he usually does and shoot a 10-second video. In this video, he would decide to call out the leader of the Jalisco New Generation cartel, El Mencho, and tell him to suck on his you-know-what. And just with this short 10-second clip, the Pirate of Culiacan, Juan Luis Lagunas Rosales, would end up sealing his fate, which would befall him a short while later. And befall him it would, because on the evening of Monday, December 18th, 2017, Juan would decide to go out with some friends to a bar in Jalisco, the home turf of the cartel whose boss he insulted. At this point during the night, things were going fine. Then a group of armed men burst into the room, shot around 15 to 18 bullets, which definitely took his life, and he was later identified by his tattoos. Also caught in the crossfire was one of the employees that worked at the bar, who sustained an injury and later would pass away at a hospital. Now, I do want to be clear. We do not know with 100% certainty that El Mencho, the leader of Jalisco's new generation cartel, is the person who called this hit, but that video was posted on November 9th of 2017, so it took around a month and a half for this whole thing to get carried out, so the timeline definitely adds up, and all indicators, in my opinion, would point to this being the case. Now, of course, nobody was ever caught or charged in connection with Juan's death, and let's be honest, the cartel is too powerful for a standard police force to deal with.
What about 3 years from now when the Mexican drug cartels are more powerful than the Mexican state itself? Well,
in addition to this, the police really don't want to mess with one of the most violent cartels in all of Mexico. If you look up most dangerous Mexican cartels, this cartel is third on that list, and they're not far behind any of the other ones that are supposedly above them. Now, in my eyes, I just have one question. Why would you ever do something like this? It seems like such common sense not to make fun of one of the most dangerous organizations in the world that is completely lawless. It just doesn't make any sense. And in Juan's case, this is probably one of the most extreme versions of this that I've seen so far, but there are other social media influencers that have been dumb enough to call out the cartel or think that they're more powerful and above them, and bad things happen to them as well. To put this in perspective for you guys, the cartels in Mexico are the 5th largest employer in the country.
With over 175,000 active members, cartels are now Mexico's 5th largest private employer.
Which is pretty insane because Mexico is quite large. The activity is only increasing. There were around 115,000 workers several years ago, and within that time to now, it's increased by another 60,000 people. They have a lot of money, they have a lot of people at their disposal, they can send out a bounty and look for virtually anybody. It is just not a group that you want to look for. On top of this, El Mencho, the leader of this cartel that Juan challenged, he has a $10 million bounty on his head just for information.
For the first time, cartel kingpin El Mencho tonight is a $15 million man.
So just keep this in mind, guys. If you're a social media influencer, or if you're eventually planning on being a social media influencer, clicks, views, and internet points are not really worth your life. I've seen a lot of videos of people calling out the cartel just to get some clicks and views. These videos always get a lot of views, but there's people in the comments telling them how bad of an idea it is, constantly referencing this case. So keep that in mind. You are not invincible, and it doesn't really matter where you live. If the wrong eyes see it, you're basically cooked if you do something like this. Sorry for the long-winded rant there, guys. I just find it pretty insane that people do stuff like this and post stuff like this. As always, though, let me know what you guys think in the comments below about this case. In my opinion, it's very tragic. I feel like Juan was just a misguided person. Drop a comment down below letting me know what you want to see next, and I will see you guys in the next video. Peace out.